The lands are flooded with ancient spirits of evil, anthropomorphic mutant animals and other strange creatures. So, what do you want to play?
I don't know. For race, I'm thinking maybe Tabaxi or a Shifter. And I'm really torn between character classes. The Storm Sorcerer is so cool, but maybe a Tempest Cleric.
So you're making a ThunderCat?
Yeah, I am. Isn't that where you're going? Mumra, the ever-living?
Well, you got me there. ThunderCat it is. Adventures League legal D&D character build.
Ho! Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Steve, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Hey, maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's Basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to tune to that notification bell.
So we're going to build a ThunderCat.
I mean, had it not been for, the recent, use that in quotes, resurgence of the animated show, this would be a lot harder to get down and, have our fans out there understand. But I mean, it's...
We know what it's all about. We're children of the 80s and 90s, so it's all good. But yeah, so we're going to build it. We're going to make it Adventures League legal. It's a little tough because we're like, we wanted to use a Tabaxi at first. But if you use Tabaxi, then that limits you to only playing the player's handbook. So what we decided to do is we're actually going to make this an Eberron build. And in Eberron, you can use Xanathar's Guide to Everything, but you still can't use Volo's Guide, except for the goblinoid races. But that's fine, because we need a perfectly good substitute for Tabaxi if you want a ThunderCat or catfolk type creature.
Which is obviously going to be the Shifter. So
Right. So with that being said, I guess we're not going to have to pick our race because we know we're going to pick a Shifter. I guess when we get into it, we'll discuss which of the sub races that we're going to go with.
So now as we get into this, we always talk about, what our options are first. So we definitely have to pick, what classes that we might be able to draw from, as well as what backgrounds we might be able to look at. And, are we making a specific ThunderCat, or are we just making someone who would fit well on that team?
I don't think we're doing either. I think we're just spoofing on ThunderCats. It's a cat, and there'll be thunder and lightning involved somehow.
All right. So we don't have to be like, oh, well,
this is Panthro, or Tigra, or Chitara, or Wily Cat, or Snarf.
Or Lion-O, the noble.
Yeah. So there's all of that to go on. But we're going to go with just a basic spoof on it.
All right. So if we're going down that direction, then obviously we want to tie more into the thunder aspect. So we know that we can go with Storm Sorcerer, we can go with an Evocator Wizard, we can go with a Tempest Cleric, and a Herald of the Storms Barbarian are all thunder and lightning options for subclasses.
Absolutely. So we did look at all of those, and we just did definitely pick a direction that some people might not expect.
Awesome.
But it was fun.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So with that, let's start getting into the build itself. We're going to need a background.
All right. So where did we wind up going with this one?
This one was actually pretty easy because clearly our ThunderCats are from Thundara, or is it Thundera? But either way, it's far away. So these characters definitely a far traveler.
That completely works for me. If you want to play someone from somewhere else, I mean, you could even take whatever branch of Shifter you are and be like, no, I'm legitimately a ThunderCat. I'm from another world, and I found myself here. If your GM's going to allow it.
All right, far traveler, we got a handful of things. We've got insight, we got athletics, and then we got a game set. We just took chess as our game set, and we took the language Sylvan. We did not see Thundarian on there anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of a big shocker, but they are very nature-based race. So Sylvan, I think, is a strong choice.
So with that, let's delve into the actual sub-race that we picked. There's a couple sub-races for Shifter that are kind of feline-ish. And then there's a couple that just completely are. You have Wild Hound. You have Wild Hunt. That is more like, canine. You have your Beast Hide, which is kind of big and burly type animals. And then you have your Longtooth, which definitely carnivorous cats works well. Swift Strider also is another one that could actually lean in several different directions, but feline is one of them.
So I think we're going to go with Swift Stride, and I think it definitely fits, the Thundercats on the loose. They're always running, and, Swift Striders, that's one of the things they're known for.
Yeah, and yeah, they're highly mobile. They get a lot of extra speed. We're going to be able to use that with this build, I believe.
Great. So where are we leaning for our first level of class?
Worth mentioning, one of the things we're going to get from our being a shifter is we're going to get perception, and then we're going to get acrobatics as well. So this character has, very perceptive, a lot of senses, as well as being mobile, like we said, and agile.
So getting athletics and acrobatics before we even, get into our, class skill choices. Very happy with that.
Absolutely. So I think before we pick our first class, I want to go into where we place the stats, and we ended up going with a point buy on this one.
I think there's a lot of things that this character could really use, so I think going point buy was a strong choice.
So strength 14, dex 14, and constitution of 12.
For the mentals, we wanted to focus heavily on that wisdom. So we've got a 9 intelligence and a 9 charisma, which is going to get a bump, but then 14 on our wisdom.
So next up, we need to go and pick our first character class. But before we do, we got a couple things we should probably mention. One, down in the description, you're going to be able to find that character build guide, so you can follow along if you want to and see all the choices we made. It's over on the DM's Guild, but there's a link down in the description. You can go download that, pay what you want. Also, follow along with the character sheet from D&D Beyond, the sponsor of this video. So we got to thank them for being the sponsor and having such an awesome product that makes making these characters so easy. Building them gives us the character sheets that we can just put them right in the description so you guys can click it, open up, see what we end up with after 20 levels of building.
It's a really great feature having D&D Beyond. For those people who are out there streaming, there's a lot of times where you can actually go and view their character sheets as they're playing. I think that's a fantastic option. But for the regular gamer, having access to all of the free content, the videos, the SRD material, and those articles, it's something that I check out on a regular basis. And I love the tips.
And if you're willing to pony up the cash, it's an awesome database. You don't have to buy physical books no more if you don't want them. You can just get them over on D&D Beyond. They've got some great deals there. And it just makes so much easier because it's so searchable. Not to mention using the encounter builder tool, making the characters are so fast. There's just a lot of great tools over there for dungeon masters and players alike. We highly recommend it. There's a link in the description below.
So go help out the channel by checking out our sponsors.
So with that, let's jump into it. Level 1, where are we going?
All right, we're going to go Barbarian.
Barbarian?
All right, well, if you look at the Thundercats, they're not wearing armor. They're typically just like, all right, this is what we are. So I think that is a strong choice to go with Barbarian. And clearly we're going to be looking at Storm Herald in the future. But having access to a very physical character, a very mobile character class, and an unarmored one at that, I think that is a strong, solid choice for first level.
Yeah, like you said, we're going to be working towards that Storm Herald. We have a specific choice that may seem a little odd that we're going with, but it made sense for building a Thundercat anyway. Second level, we are going to go into Cleric. And the great thing about going Cleric early is you get access to your domain right away. And you might have guessed it, we're going Tempest.
So totally works with this. You know that if you've watched the show, they're always calling on higher powers to do this and to do that. So I don't think it's a stretch at all to see the Thundercats being a cleric.
Oh, or at least some of them anyway. We're going to get access to certain spells just right off the bat from, picking Tempest.
All right, so it's going to give us Thunder Wave, which, if you're familiar with the spell, Thunder Wave, Thundercats, totally makes sense here. You're going to be able to do that thunder damage. You're going to be able to push people out of combat. Obviously, you're not going to cast it while you're raging, so you're going to have to, make your choices how you're doing it, but it works.
I think the verbal component for this spell should just be you yelling, "Oh!" at your enemies.
What you call me? No.
So Wrath of the Storm is an ability that you get as a Tempest Cleric. As a reaction, when someone hits you, you can basically just zap them with lightning.
So this is nice because it's not a spell, therefore
you can do it while you're raging.
Do it while you're raging. So nice.
So now we're just going to shotgun Barbarian for 3 levels for 2 reasons. We could have even done 4, but we went with 3. The reasons are, 1, we want to get to our choice as far as our archetype. and we went Herald of the Storm, and we're going C. I know water, cats, doesn't make any sense, but that is the one that has access to thunder and lightning stuff.
So, I mean, yes, that aspect you might want to argue about in the comments, and feel free. But, for the options that are there, C is how you travel. C is how you get from one place to another. So that could be how they're flying in their spaceship from place to place and how they've landed, how they've gotten as a far traveler to here. I think on multiple levels, both thematically for the thunder and lightning, as well as thematically for the travel option, I think it really works.
And then, that third level is where we're going to actually get our fourth character level, which is an ASI.
And for that, we're going to go Constitution. For this, it totally makes sense to get those extra hit points as well as to get that extra armor class. Con, in my opinion, is a strong contender for the super stat. It's not just Dex anymore. So from here, we're actually going to put 3 more levels into Cleric, mostly just to get that next ASI that we're going to dump into Wisdom.
We're also going to get Destructive Wrath, which is our channel divinity. And that's like, hey, do you want to do maximum damage with thunder or lightning? Use this.
That's awful helpful with this particular build.
Absolutely. And then, that is also going to give us our 4th level in Cleric. So we're going to get our ASI. And now we're going to bump up that Wisdom that's a little bit low. So the stats are coming along nicely at this point.
So 9th level is a long way to wait for extra attack, but we're finally going to take that 5th level of Barbarian to get that second swing. I honestly think that the options that you're getting from Cleric here are a nice, buffer for that extra attack, but it's finally time to take it. We're also going to get that fast movement. So with this character, we're already seeing, mobility in place.
When this character shifts, they're going to be hella fast. They're going to be all over the battlefield. So now we're going to shotgun 4 more levels of Cleric. That's going to finish us off from Cleric altogether. But we're going to get some really cool things for that.
So we're going to get access to Call Lightning, a really great spell. We're also going to get Thunderbolt Strike. So when you damage someone with lightning damage that's large or smaller, you get to push them 10 feet.
Which is nice. And also that Call Lightning, if, hey, you're a barbarian, you want to rage and get close and smash things. I get it. I understand. But sometimes the enemy's all the way over there and you can't get there. So what do? You call some lightning.
It's going to work. It's going to help you out. This character is going to have options. You're going to have to make choices with, how you play this. But I got to say, it's pretty cool to be able to make a ThunderCat.
It'd be kind of funny to use those called lightning strikes to start pushing the enemy towards you 10 feet at a time. I'm gonna get you, sucker, one way or another.
That'd be pretty fun. So, since we said we're getting 4 levels, this is going to push us to 8th level Cleric, which is going to give us an ASI. We're going to push that Constitution even more. Again, hit points and armor class for this character, but we're also going to get Divine Strike, so we're going to do extra damage once a round when we swing in melee.
Thunder damage, by the way.
Thunder damage.
So we're getting thunder and lightning all up in this bad boy.
So from here, we're just going to, bum rush Barbarian and max it out at 12 levels.
So that Barbarian level, we're going to get another Path ability, Storm Soul, and that's resistance to lightning damage. You can breathe underwater, and you're also going to get a swim speed.
So I think this is going to help out our ThunderCat and the Sphere of Water, if he's got it. But it's one of those things that, it's a pretty powerful ability for, the exploration.
So when we get that 8th level of Barbarian, 16th level character, we're going to take an ASI. And again, we're taking stats. We're not taking feats. We're going to bump up that strength to a +2.
So we're gonna be able to hit a little bit harder now that we're definitely focusing more on melee. And, it's a good stat for us. So
then our 10th level Barbarian, again, it's another path feature. This time we're going to get Shielding Storm. And basically when we're raging, it allows us to extend our resistance to our allies.
So useful if, we're going to be pulling out these lightning damages, from here and there, or if you happen to be up against something that's throwing around the lightning damage itself.
And also, the 10th level ability generally is a ribbon ability for the Barbarian. So as far as ribbon abilities go, this one's pretty nice.
I would have to agree. So we finish off with 2 more levels in Barbarian. Again, that gets us to level 12. We are going to get another ASI, and this time we're going to max out our Constitution, for both that hit points and the armor class.
So yeah, we end off nicely with a 16 in strength, dex, con, and wisdom. and two 9s. So it's not bad at all. It's a good split, I think. Our guy might not be too likable, or gal, as the case may be, or that bright, but they got a lot of other things going on for them.
So I guess now, we dive in and kind of create this character as an NPC.
That's exactly what we do. That is that segment. So how do we see this particular build playing out?
So I think, it's really going to depend upon, what kind of world or campaign you're currently playing in. I think this could be as a cleric and as a barbarian. This could be a lone traveler, someone that they could, meet on their travel.
Crazy hermit,
totally works. You could take that whole concept of they are literally, from Thundera and are from a whole nother plane of existence, to use the D&D terminologies for different planets, and they're not native to this world. They don't know what's going on, but they're here, and they're living on their own.
It would be fun to kind of like spoof the ThunderCats and do a small group of pilgrims from this other place that happen to be feline with all these different attributes if you were to build out like a party. And I like doing stuff like that just because it amuses me. And it's so much more fun when the players like figure out what you're actually doing. It's like planting little Easter eggs in the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's definitely one way to do it. I can also see this character being the head of like a war chief or something for a bunch of reavers on the sea. There's definitely a lot of directions you can go with it. And also with this particular build, I think there's a lot of opportunities to build this as a villain and a bad guy, where some of our builds aren't as much, but this one could definitely go that one really easy.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that it's a barbarian, savage by its primal nature, this could definitely be someone out in the hinterlands who's like, no, forget civilization, forget coming together. I'm leading this war band, and we're going to take things down. And if you give it some of those higher level lightning abilities, like it's standing on the mountaintops just calling down damage to the party as they're trying to get towards them.
Yeah, or reavers coming in from the sea, and this guy is kind of like on the prow of the ship pointing and like you said, summoning lightning amongst the party and their enemies.
I mean, they could literally travel on the water with the storm, and it's like, my guys are fine because
the heralds of the storm. There you go. That's the bad guy. But let us know what you think. Would you play this character in your game? Would you use this NPC against your players? There's a place where you can talk all about it down in the comments below. But not only that, you can find in the description the character build guide as well as the character sheet. And I want to take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy the Adventuring Party over on Patreon. What can I expect there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons every month for both players and DMs alike that they can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways and our patrons get entered automatically.
We also are doing weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description where you can find and join Nerdarchy the Adventuring Party. And until next time, stay nerdy.